All right, folks, break's over. We are back in session. Yeah. And because Representative Hardaway complimented me on my lovely outfit, we are going to go back and take up his bill, House Bill 351. You have a, we have a motion and a second. Representative Hardaway, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you to the gentlemen too, even those that seem to be a bit jealous. We good, we're good. Madam Chair, the bill, I don't believe has any amendments. It's as is, it's pretty straightforward, and I'd like to get it before you in proper fashion.
It is in proper fashion, and we would appreciate a very brief explanation if you don't mind.
Thank you. The one thing that we can look at that can influence, and we are making a concerted effort towards lessening juvenile crime. This is where it starts, in having fathers and mothers involved in the lives of their children. I'll go back, responsible fathers and
Representative
mothers.
Hardaway, I'm not sure we're talking about the same bill. We're on House Bill 351.
Madam Chair, one of the most important things for us to do to fight crime is to have economic opportunities. So this bill quite simply sets up an industrial development corporation, and it builds it from ground up. That's what's different about this. So we have small and local businesses, which would be the focus on this. And the tab is picked up by the local government. It's permissive and picked up by local government.
Question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 351. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and House Bill 351 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative McCallum, this is item 15 on the House Bill 1731.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. House Bill 1731 is establishing the Motion Act, which stands for the modernization of towing, immobilization, and observation normalization. There's a lot of Asian in that act. But what this bill does is essentially it categorizes all the definitions of towing into one chapter within the code. It puts a ban on booting of vehicles basically anywhere except for a commercial paid parking lot. It prohibits third-party contractors from installing said boots on the vehicles. It has to be done by the employee of the owner of the company of that parking lot. Put some regulations with regards to as when you can tow and how you can tow. And with that, I stand ready for questions.
Question has been called. We are voting on House Bill 1731. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. And Representative McCallum, you go to calendar and rules with, you made a real effort with that acronym, and we applaud you for that.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair.
Number 16 on our calendar, House Bill 2774, also by Representative McCallum. Representative McCallum, you have a motion and a second. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, what this does is it directs the DAs in our state once a year to create a report of the cost of illegal immigration that are illegal immigrants that are incarcerated within our state and our county jails and the Department of Corrections, in order to have a report ready for the AG, and if indeed he wants to go back and claim recompense from the federal government for this. With that, I stand ready for questions.
I see no questions. Without objection. Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Love.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I forgot to ask this in subcommittee, so I apologize. There was a section in there about definition of not lawfully. I think it's the section 2 at the very end. The individual has been granted parole under USC 1182 D5, temporary protected status, deferred action, deferred enforcement, departure, or similar exercise of administrative grace or prosecutorial discretion. So persons who may be here under temporary protected status, they're going to still be counted in here as persons? Oh, they won't be. Okay. Thank you.
I see no additional hands, so we are without objection voting on House Bill 2774. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? House Bill 2774 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chair Lady and Committee.
We're skipping now to the next item that comes to our committee, which is item number 33, House Bill 2842. 23, I'm sorry. Item 23, House Bill 2842. Representative Vital. You have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady, members of the committee. This bill would simply clarify the activities covered under the agricultural exemption of the Water Quality Control Act as it relates to rock removal versus rock harvesting. And with that, I ask for favorable vote.
Any questions of the sponsor? The question has been called. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 2842. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2842 goes to
Thank you.
calendar and rules, which I will remind everybody meets directly after this full finance. Next, we have item number 25, House Bill 1600. Chairman Williams, you're recognized on your bill. You have a motion and a second.
Yes, Chair Lady. I also have an amendment that we put on in subcommittee, drafting code 018313.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Question has been called on the amendment. Without objection, we're voting on drafting code 018313 being attached to House Bill 1600. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill is now so amended. Chairman Williams, please describe the bill as amended.
Thank you, Chair Lady members. This is juvenile prohibitor bill that under certain circumstances would prohibit a juvenile from being able to purchase a weapon until they're 25 if they commit violent crimes as relates to Title 39. That's done through notification of ticks through the TBI. Their cases will be sealed. And there's a provision that says if someone was inadvertently given a permit to carry when they were 18, even though their case had not been adjudicated delinquent prior to that receipt, that it could be revoked. With that, Chair Lady and members, I'm happy to answer any questions members might have.
I see no questions, so we are voting on House Bill 1600 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1600 goes to calendar and rules. All right, that brings us to our addendum calendar, and the first item is on that calendar that we're taking up was item number 2, House Bill 2074.
Motion on the bill.
Representative Butler. Representative Butler, you have a motion and a second. You're recognized, and I'm showing that we do have an amendment on that bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair Lady. Yes, amendment number 18247.
That's what I have. So we have a motion on the amendment and a second. Without objection, we are voting on the amendment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment 018247 is attached to House Bill 2074. Representative Butler, please describe your bill as we have amended.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This legislation just provides tax relief for victims of the tornado that was in Sunbright. With that, I renew my motion.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. We certainly saw some of the devastation on the news, so we recognize the need for this
Thank y'all.
bill, and thank you for bringing it, Representative Butler. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2074. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, committee.
House Bill 2074 goes to calendar and rules. Now we're on addendum 2. Item number 1 on that calendar is House Bill 2497 by Chairman Hurt. Chairman Hurt, you're recognized. Yeah, motion and a second. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This legislation sets up a pilot program for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities to provide homes for no more than 66 adults in Middle Tennessee and no more than 24 adults in West Tennessee. These homes will be part of a community that will also include neurotypical adults and families. This is a private pay situation and it is optional. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Are there questions of the sponsor? Chairman Hurt, thank you for bringing this bill. In my area, we have Orange Grove, which has some of these homes. They're very successful. The residents there are, it's a great situation for them. So I applaud you bringing it. We are voting without objection on House Bill 2497. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? House Bill 2497 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Next on our agenda is House Bill 2650 by Chairman Helton Haynes. Representative Helton Haynes, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This legislation improves the Tennessee Health Facilities Commission's ability to regulate nursing homes and assisted care living facilities.
Question has been called. Seeing no objection, we're voting on House Bill 2650. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Your bill goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you.
Next on our calendar is House Bill 1046 by Chairman Williams. Chairman Williams, we have a motion. A motion and a second. Chairman Williams, you're recognized, and I do show that we have an amendment on this bill.
Yes, Chair Lady, drafting code 018331.
I have a motion and a second. Without objection, we are voting on Amendment 018331. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is hereby attached. Chairman Williams.
Thank you, Chair Lady. The chairman of Champions just walked in and I'm running this bill for him because he was headed on his way back and I wondered if he wanted to finish the work that he started. But in an attempt to do his bill justice, the Tennessee Housing Development Agency currently administers a low-income tax credit program here in the state, but and it's been going on since 1986. It's generally federal dollars. These programs provide incentives for development of affordable housing.
Question has been called.
Thank
Without
you, Chair Lady.
objection, we're voting on House Bill 1046 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1046 goes to calendar and rules. Item number 4 is House Bill 2528 by Representative Gant.
Thank you,
Representative
Madam
Gant,
Chair.
I couldn't find you there for a moment. You're recognized. And
And
we do have an amendment.
yes, ma'am, 018394.
That's what I have. We have a motion. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. We're voting on Amendment 018394. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. Please explain your bill as amended.
Madam Chair and Committee, this bill establishes a mobile panic alarm pilot program, and the amendment takes it down per school from 10,000 to 8,000, and that's what it does.
Are there questions of the sponsor? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 2528. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2528 goes to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 2318 by Chairman Williams. We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Chairman Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman and members. House Bill 2318 is a bill that was brought to me by TMA and the physician assistants across the state. It's a collaborative work between the two parties in order to codify scope of practice as it relates to the responsibilities between those two. It also sets up a method through the board to determine if there were any violations as it relates to that practice. It also sets aside an opportunity for those PAs that have 6,000 credit hours or 6,000 hours of service, which is about 3 years of clinical experience, to be able to provide them to be able to have a different and more freely freedom to the practice as it relates to that practice. It also allows physician assistants to sign death certificates. With that, chair lady members, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I see no questions. We are voting without objection on House Bill 2318. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2318 goes to calendar and rules. That brings us to our special calendar. And we begin with item number 5 on that calendar, House Bill 867 by Chairman Littleton. You have a motion and a second? Chairman Littleton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady Hazelwood. This as amended, the Amendment 4944 came from the ABC and authorizes the sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages on certain commercial buses, passenger buses. So it says commercial passenger bus company means a company that offers commercial passenger bus service in the state using a passenger bus that is designed and used for regularly scheduled intercity transportation of passengers for compensation, is regulated by the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and is at least 45 feet in length and has an elevated passenger deck or a baggage compartment, and has passenger seating to accommodate at least 16 persons, but not more than 36. And a commercial passenger bus licensed under this subdivision shall not sell alcoholic beverages or beer while the bus is stopped for the purposes of loading or unloading passengers within the boundaries of the local government that has not.
Ask you to withdraw that. Representative Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be quick. So you made note about that they couldn't serve alcohol while people were getting on and off the bus. But if the bus was stopped, could they serve alcohol?
Chairman Littleton.
No, thank you. No.
Representative Freeman.
That's not how to read it, but okay.
I see no further questions. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 867. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. Please see the clerk if you'd like to be recorded as a no. Item number 7 on our calendar, House Bill 1248 by Chairman Powers. Do you have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Chairman Powers, you are recognized, and I'm showing that we have an amendment we need to attach, 017822. Is that match your records?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Without objection, we're voting on the amendment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. And we are now on the bill as amended. Chairman Powers, please describe your bill.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1248 is the Elder Financial Abuse Hotline Bill, and I have some great co-sponsors on this bill too. But it creates a TBI hotline. We have an estimated $500 million of elderly financial abuse reported in Tennessee every year. With House Bill 1248, the financial service provider will provide information to TBI to aid in the investigation, who will notify the correct law enforcement authorities. And with that, Madam Chairman, I renew my motion.
I see no questions of the chairman, so without objection, we are voting on House Bill 867. House Bill 1248. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1248 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee.
Next up is item that was number 12 on the calendar in subcommittee. That's House Bill 886 by Chairman Hawk. Chairman Hawk, you have a motion and a second. And we do have an amendment on this bill, right?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Drafting code is 014512.
We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we are voting on amendment drafting code 014512. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. Please describe your bill as now amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This calls for a TASER study for the collection of sales tax and potential vendors' compensation that we've talked about for several years. It's essentially a TASER study, Madam Chair and members.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. Question has been called. We are voting on sending House Bill 886 to TASER for study to calendar rules. I'm sorry, I'm skipping over there. Chairman Zachary, I didn't mean to dismiss your committee in any way. We are voting on House Bill 886. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 886 goes to calendar and rules. Now we're going to take up the rest of the TASER calendar. And the first item on that agenda is House Bill 2433 by Chairman Terry. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Terry, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Committee. This is a bill for a TASER study on the effects of vaping and the use of all vapor products by children or people under 21.
Are there questions of the sponsor? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 2433. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2433 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman Committee.
Next is House Bill 2317 by Chairman Williams. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman and members. House Bill 2317 is a TASER study which allows us to look at the costs associated with local ordinances, building codes, fire marshals, regulations as it relates to daycares in order to try to make daycare more affordable. The report will come back in June 31st of next year, and so look forward to working with TASER to see this report come to fruition. Happy to answer any questions the members might have.
I've seen no questions. Question has been called. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 2317. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2317 goes to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 2232 by Representative Freeman. We have a motion and a second. Representative Freeman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tagging on to the child care TASER study plan. This is a TASER study on child care workers and understanding the benefits cliff. And with that, I stand ready to answer your questions.
I see no questions. And perhaps the TASER can look at these two questions, these two topics in tandem. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 2232. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. House Bill 2232 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
The last item on the TASER calendar is House Bill 2215 by Representative Parkinson. We have a motion and a second. Representative Parkinson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Lady, and thank you, committee. This bill sends to TASER a study in regards to quit claim fraud, where individuals are stealing people's properties via fake quit claims. And with that, Madam Chair, Lady, move passage.
Question has been called. I see no objection. We are voting on House Bill 2215. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2215 goes to calendar and rules. All right, members and guests in the audience, please bear with us. We are moving to the behind the budget calendar. We're going to probably have to slow down a little bit because this has been rapidly moving, and we're going to have to take some time to make sure that we get things in the proper order. So First on this calendar is House Bill 2921 by Chairman Williams. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, lady, and members. This bill is an important bill that I'm carrying for the speaker. It allows for mental health parity for mental health services for those that are on TennCare and raises that rate to the same rate that it is for mental health and substance abuse. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions the members might have.
Do we have questions of the sponsor? Question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2921. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2921 goes to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 2922 by Representative Slater. We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Slater, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. House Bill 2922 authorizes the formation of opportunity charter schools. And with that, I stand ready for questions.
We have a couple of amendments. Representative Slater, the first one is 018038. We have a motion and a second on that amendment. Without objection, we are voting on Amendment 018038. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. We have an amendment, members. It's you will find it on dashboard. It's not on your marked calendars. It was timely filed by Representative McKenzie. So that amendment number is 017866.
I guess so.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Representative McKenzie, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was a simple amendment and to help me further strengthen my strong support of this bill. And it wanted to get, the point of it was to get to what is the difference if we do have a residential program, will that require any additional state funds and funding? So once the fiscal note came back, it's, you know, they're going to get the TISA funding. And if they're going to do a residential program, which I don't think, that's going to be a tall order for them to do. But if they do, they'll have to do that privately. So with that, I'd like to withdraw this amendment.
All right, without objection, the amendment is withdrawn, and that puts us back on the bill as amended by Amendment Code 018038. Representative Slater, please describe your bill.
I renew my motion.
All right, without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2922. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2922 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Next is House Bill 2930 by Representative Garrett. We have a motion and a second. Representative Garrett, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this bill is the Unified Court System bill. Last session, we appropriated $75 million to the Administrative Office of the Courts to unify our clerks' computer systems so they can talk to each other. We have over 350 court systems across the state of Tennessee. They cannot currently talk to each other. This bill provides guidance to the AOC along with our clerks to implement a plan to start making it where their systems can talk to each other. Therefore, we will have the ability to collect a lot of data that were otherwise missing in our court system. So with that, I ask for your support and be happy to answer any questions.
Questions of the sponsor?
Question on the bill. Second.
Mr. Sponsor, I would like to say, as I did in sub, I know my juvenile court clerk has expressed some concerns, and I would just ask that the AOC, as they're developing these new systems, if they would work with those clerks, particularly those who have a lot of time in grade, so to speak, and get the benefit of their experience and of the work that's been done on systems that they have currently up and running. So with that, without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2930. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Next up is House Bill 0375 by Speaker Pro Tem Marsh. Speaker Marsh, you are recognized.
Thank you,
You have
Chair
a
Lady.
motion and a second.
This proposal is for the Tennessee Duck River Development Agency. It's a restructuring so a reliable long-term revenue stream is available that will support the Duck River mission, which is developing, protecting, and sustaining a clean and dependable water resource for the citizens of the Duck River region. With that, I'll take any questions.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. I see no questions. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 0375. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 375 goes on to calendar and rules. Thank you, Speaker Marsh. You are up next again with House Bill 2019. Have a motion and a second. There is an amendment on this bill, I believe. Amendment number 014275. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we are voting on Amendment 014275. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. Speaker Marsh, please share with us what the bill does as amended.
Thank you, Chair Lady. This bill will require the county legislative body to set the annual budget for the county mayor's office at a minimum at an amount not less than the average of the budgeted amount for the county mayor's office for the last 5 preceding fiscal years. With that, I'll answer any questions.
Questions of the sponsor? I see no questions. So we are voting on House Bill 2019. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2019 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chair Lady and Committee.
Next, we have House Bill 1641, and that is by our very own Leader Lambert. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. Leader Lambert, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This just makes it a Class A misdemeanor to violate the conditions of your bond. Question on the bill.
Question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 1641. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1641 goes on to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 1663 by Leader Lambert. We have a motion and a second, and Leader Lambert, I'm showing that we need to attach an amendment 018241. Is that what you show?
It is, Madam Chairman.
We have a motion and a. That's two. I thought this one you said. Okay. Never mind. Our legal counsel has told me that we need to adopt 013184 first. We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we are voting on Amendment 013184. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Now we have another amendment, 018241.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we're voting on that amendment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and 018241 as well as 013184 are now on the bill. Leader Lambert, please explain the bill as we have amended it.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And this is, quite frankly, one of the most serious bills I've ever carried. This brings back as a potential penalty that a jury could select if they convict someone of rape of a child under 12. If someone is that evil and they have committed that heinous act, then the jury, if they find certain aggravating factors, could determine that that person would face the death penalty. That's what the bill does, Madam Chairman.
Are there questions of the sponsor? The question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 1663 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1663 goes to calendar and rules. House Bill 2188 is next, also by Leader Lambert. We have a motion and a second. Leader Lambert, you are,
Madam Chairman, I believe I have an amendment on this one as well. It's coded 018301.
Motion.
that's correct. We do have a motion and a second. Without objection, we're voting on 018301. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. Leader Lambert, explain that bill as we have just amended it, please.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chairman, it does two things. One, when an individual is sentenced to a sentence to serve, they can get good time towards their release eligibility, but their sentence never changes. So if they receive a 22-year sentence and serve 12 of that, then they would have 10 years remaining on parole. Again, their release eligibility, they still earn good credit toward. It just wouldn't change their actual sentence an elected judge put down. The other just deletes a subsection that it was beginning to cause some problems with judicial sentencing, specifically misdemeanor court, and it tied their hands. So this gives greater discretion on their sentencing options.
Question on the bill.
Question has been called. I see no objection. We're voting on House Bill 2188. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill moves to calendar and rules. That brings us to House Bill 1658, also by Leader Lambert. We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. And Leader Lambert, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I also have an amendment coded on this 018133.
Second.
We are voting without objection on Amendment 018133. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. Now we are back on the bill as amended, the bill number 1658. Leader Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. This bill does two different things. One, it makes it a felony to attack someone in a court of law while it is in session. That it has happened in a few courtrooms, especially to a friend of mine who was an attorney that was actually in the midst of a trial and was attacked by his own client. Was an appointed case that the person apparently didn't want him as an attorney. So he hit him, punched him right in the middle of the trial. And actually, the defendant thought it was quite funny because they told him he was going to be charged with misdemeanor assault. And he said, well, yeah, but at least I'll get a new lawyer. So that should never be allowed. And so a felony hopefully will make that less likely to occur. The other section of this cleans up our eavesdropping statute that was passed almost 3 decades ago, where it has a civil penalty in there. And with apps and websites and cookies and pixels and everything else that are collected now, there is unfortunately some businesses in the state that are being sued because that type of material is being collected. That was never envisioned when the eavesdropping statute was first passed. And this just takes the civil penalties, which are $100 a day or $10,000 total, out of the statute and cleans that up so that businesses would not be at risk for just conducting their business in a modern age of violating the eavesdropping statute.
Question on the bill.
We have I'm sorry, Leader Cochran had asked to be recognized, is withdrawn, and
That's very kind of y'all. Thank you. I'll be brief. Leader Lambert, the second part of that, the second part of your legislation regarding the wiretapping, obviously big small businesses, nonprofits are affected by that. It's the intent of the legislation that it affects all three of those, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, again, this is all businesses are using technology in this day and age. All of those technological options, they collect data on us. I don't like it, but I mean, we passed a good data privacy bill by Representative Garrett, I think it was last year, and we have started to put laws on the books to protect folks from this type of technology, but it's not the eavesdropping statute. I mean, that was put in place for, when somebody was going to splice something into a telephone wire and try to listen to it. But it covers all businesses.
Thank you.
I see no other questions. We are voting on House Bill 1658. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? House Bill 1658 as amended moves to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 2109 by Chairman Boyd. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Boyd, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. House Bill 2109 simply puts hydrogen on the list of alternative fuels that we recognize in statute. It would put it on par with how we treat compressed natural gas.
Questions of the sponsor? I'm seeing none. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2109. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2109 goes to calendar and rules. House Bill 2624 is next by Chairman Carr. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Carr, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is a bill that we've been working on about delinquent taxes. It improves the ability to convey blighted parcels to local land banks, improves the ability to collect delinquent tax properties, and it's been worked on for several years. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Mr. Sponsor, I see no questions, so with that, sorry, I see a question. Leader Lambert.
Madam Chair, I just didn't want him to escape out of here so that everyone knows before he gets to the House floor. I do believe it will be your last bill on the floor, correct, sir?
That is correct.
Just wanted to prepare everyone. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Well, Chairman Carr, I don't know who's going to auction off the next heater I buy for cold days on the floor, but we will miss you and thank you for your
Appreciate it.
service.
Thank you. Thank you, Committee Chairman. Thank you.
We are voting on House Bill 2624. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2624 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
That brings us to House Bill 2365 by Representative Carringer. Chairman Carringer, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady. House Bill 2365 just authorizes 9 members of the Council on Autism Spectrum Disorder to receive reimbursement for travel expenses incurred for the 4 meetings per year that they attend.
Question has been called. Seeing no objection, we're voting on House Bill 2365. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2365 goes to calendar and rules. Thank you, Chairman Carringer.
Thank you, Chair Lady and Committee.
Item 14 is next, House Bill 1074 by Chairman Sapicki. And Chairman Sapicki, I'm showing that we do have an amendment we need to attach.
That is correct, Madam Chairman.
018234.
That is correct, Madam Chairman.
All right. Do I have a motion on the amendment? I have a motion and a second on the amendment. Representative Sapicki, without objection, we will vote on the amendment and then ask you to describe the bill as amended. We are voting on Amendment 018234. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. Now, please share with us what your bill does.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This bill as amended would direct that chiropractic physicians be paid for the individual service they provide each visit instead of a global bundle or flat rate. Be happy to answer any questions.
You did such a marvelous job explaining that. I see no questions. And without objection, we are voting on House Bill 1074. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the bill does move on to calendar and rules. Chairman Sapicki is next on our list as well with House Bill 1628. And we have amendments that are traveling with it, so I think the bill is in the proper posture, and we'll just ask you, once we get a motion and a second, thank you, then we'll ask you to explain it.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. On July 11th, 2023, Tennessee's medical community tragically lost the life of beloved orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Benjamin Mauck, in a senseless act of violence in Collierville, who the bill is named after. What this does is it increases the penalty for assaults committed under these circumstances to a Class A misdemeanor for assault and a Class C felony for aggravated assault on our individuals who work in healthcare facilities. Madam Chairman, that's what the bill does.
That truly was a tragic circumstance, and our hearts really go out to those who, family and the people who were working there and witnessed this carnage. So thank you for bringing the bill. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 1628. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1628 goes to calendar and rules. That brings us to House Bill 1928. Also by Chairman Sapicki, we have a motion and a second. And Chairman Sapicki.
Been a long day, Madam Chairman.
It has been. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, this bill changes certain definitions of a commercial motor vehicle relative to what a school means to meaning vehicles designed to transport 16 or more passengers, including the driver, rather than the current law that states 15 passengers, including the driver or used as a school bus. It's basically changing the definition of that.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. A question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 1928. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1928 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Committee.
House Bill 2692 by Chairman Doggett. Chairman Doggett needed his exercise, so as we wait for him to get his steps in, Chairman Doggett, you have a motion and a second. You are recognized.
Thank you, ma'am. This bill helps victims of domestic violence know when their perpetrators nearby in cases involving the most serious domestic violence, and it streamlines the process to get victims the quickest help when a violation occurs. This bill focuses on the pretrial time frame, which is a very vulnerable and potentially very dangerous or deadly time in the victim's life. And this bill was named the Debbie and Marie Domestic Violence Protection Act.
Mr. Sponsor, thank you for that explanation. Again, this is part, I think we could almost view as a package of things that this General Assembly has done, like Marcy's Law and other legislation to protect victims and to sustain victims' rights. So thank you for bringing the bill. I see no questions and hearing no objections. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm showing it as a, oh, didn't turn it back. I'm sorry, we do have an amendment on this bill. House Amendment number 016967. Do I have a motion on the amendment? We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we are voting on the amendment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached, and I believe what you described was the bill as amended. So without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2692. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and House Bill 2692 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you.
Next up is House Bill 430.
Second.
We, Chairman White. Chairman White, we have a motion and a second on your bill 0430.
Chair Lady,
Yes.
Chairman Farmer is carrying that bill and 430, and can we roll him a couple spaces?
And we do have an amendment on this bill. It is 015022. Without objection, we are voting on the amendment 015022. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. That brings us back to the bill as amended. Question has been called. The question has been called. I only see two hands, so without. All right, wait. Objection. The objection is noted. We are voting on previous question. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes do have it. Previous question prevails, and we are voting on House Bill 0430. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The noes were much weaker, but they were still present. Please see the clerk if you'd like to be recorded as a no, but House Bill 0430 does go to calendar and rules. Order in the courtroom. We are on House Bill 0521 by Chairman Hilton Haynes. We have a motion and a second. And We do have an amendment on this bill. The amendment I'm showing is 015651. Do we have a motion on the amendment?
That's correct.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Without objection, we are voting on 015651. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Amendment 015651 is hereby attached to House Bill 0521. Chairman Hilton Haynes, please explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This creates the Professional Music Therapy Advisory Committee of the Board of Examiners in Psychology, authorizes the committee to issue certificates to qualified applicants.
Question has been called. The question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 0521 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 0521 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chair, Lady, and Committee.
What are we on now? 27. House Bill 1946 by Chairman Howell is next. Chairman Howell, you have a motion and a second. You are recognized, and we do have an amendment on this bill. I'm showing that to be 017355.
That's correct.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. I should have said without objection. All in favor of amendment 017355, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. Chairman Howell, please tell us about your bill as we have just amended it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill only impacts the Ocoee River. It was brought to me from the Ocoee Rafting Outfitters Association. It names the Ocoee River as an official Olympic river under the state's Scenic River Act.
Question has been called. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 1946 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1946 goes to calendar and rules. Chairman Howell, you have our next bill as well. That's House Bill 2301. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Howell, you are recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill was brought to me by the DA's conference, and it gives the DA's broader discretion when prosecuting drug dealers, and there happens to be an overdose and a death, and that's under this bill, they can be prosecuted under the drug code instead of the criminal code.
Thank you for that explanation. I see no questions, so without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2301. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2301 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Next up, House Bill 2808 by Chairman Halsey. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Halsey, you are recognized, and I do believe we have an amendment.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm showing 014686.
No, that bill, that amendment is traveling with it. The amendment that we need to add is 016012.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Without objection, we are voting on amendment 016012. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. And Chairman Halsey, please describe your bill.
Thank you very much. This bill deals with the fact that county jails spend a great deal of money providing medicine for HIV folks who are incarcerated. And this bill just says if state government through TennCare, Medicare, not Medicare, but TennCare and other state health programs have been providing this medicine before somebody goes to county jail, they will continue to provide it after they're there.
All right. I see no questions and hearing no objections. We are voting on House Bill 2808. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2808 goes to calendar and rules. Chairman Halsey, you also have the next item on our agenda, House Bill 2797. We have a motion and a second. And Chairman Halsey, you are recognized. I believe the amendments are traveling with it, so you are in the proper posture. Please explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This deals with high growth areas where you have a whole lot of employees that are new hirees coming in, just like what's happening in West Tennessee with Ford and developing housing. And what this is a loan program or a grant program that's given to economic development boards in that area, industrial development boards in that area to finance infrastructure to prepare for these folks to move in.
Questions of the sponsor? Question has been called. We are voting without objection on House Bill 2797. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. And House Bill 2797 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam and Committee.
30. Just give us a moment, please. Our next item is House Bill 2393 by Representative Lafferty. We have a motion and a second. Representative Lafferty, you are recognized.
Thank you, committee. And let's see, where do we leave off here? 2393. Oh, yes. This is the bill that is going to decouple the rates that that THEC charges to our institutions of higher education. It's going to break that from what the SARA Group, the national organization, charges the universities. They recently raised their rates. THEC doesn't have to raise those rates. They could still do it for the same money, and that's all we're doing here.
The question has been called. I see no objection. Therefore, we are voting on House Bill 2393. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, committee. Thank you, Chair.
2393 goes to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 1855 by Chairman Reagan. We have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. This bill is to protect our academic institutions' academic research from foreign espionage.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. I see no questions. I'm sorry, Representative Parkinson. On the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, lady. Got to be quick on your feet in this committee. Chairman Reagan, in your bill, I was eavesdropping while I was sitting in here waiting for 2 hours to have my bill heard in sub. And you had mentioned that the policies have to be posted on the university's websites. Am I incorrect in that?
The
Chairman
policies
Reagan.
must, thank you. Policies must comply with all legal, regulatory, and contractual agreements, and the universities are directed to make a report to the General Assembly on research security, as well as make their policies available to the public. Doesn't say how they have to do it.
Representative Parkinson.
So my question is, if they have to make their policies available to the public, won't the people that we are trying to protect ourselves from have access to the policies also because they'll be public?
Chairman Reagan.
The answer is yes, and that's part of the purpose here, to deter them.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you for that. So if the policies are made public and they know what the policies are, doesn't that give them an advantage to be able to try to navigate around those policies?
Chairman Reagan.
It should not, because we have some similar policies as far as cheating is concerned. I mean, does that give the cheaters an advantage?
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you. There's a huge difference between a college student cheating versus a government-backed espionage group or hacking group. And so, and that was my only question. So, thank you, sir.
Chairman Zachary.
Question on the bill.
Question has been called. I see no objections, so we are voting on House Bill 1855. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. If you'd like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk. But House Bill 1855 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, committee and chair.
Next up is House Bill 393 by Chairman Reedy. I have a motion and a second. Chairman Reedy, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. This legislation will statutorily recognize and formally authorize a slaughtering practice which currently takes place in this state.
Questions of the sponsor? Question has been called. We are voting on House Bill 0393. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? House Bill 0393 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee.
Next up is item number 42 on the calendar. That would be House Bill 2584 by Chairman Russell. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Russell?
I didn't hear the number. Sorry about that. Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2584 prohibits the Department of Environment and Conservation from charging a fee for an aquatic resource altercation permit to a local government or emergency infrastructure repair for maintenance activities necessary to replace or otherwise maintain a culvert.
I see no questions of the sponsor after that explanation, so we will be voting without objection on House Bill 2584. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes do have it, and House Bill 2584 goes on to calendar and rules. Thank you, Chairman Russell.
Thank you.
We are now on House Bill 2677 by Chairman White. We have a motion and a second. And we do have an amendment on this bill. That amendment number is 018223. I have a motion and a second. Chairman White, would you like us to attach the amendment and then describe the bill as amended?
Yes, Chair Lady, please do.
All right, without objection, we are voting on the amendment 018223. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Bill is now amended. Chairman White, explain the bill, please.
Yes, basically, Chair Lady and committee, it just requires our county commissioners, once elected to office, that they take part in, requires them to take part in the CTAS training on the requirements of being a county commissioner within the 4 months of being elected to office. That's a simple explanation. Any further questions, let's be ready to ask.
I see none. We are voting on House Bill 2677. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2677 goes to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 2180, also by Chairman White. And Chairman White, you have a motion and a second. You are recognized. And I believe all the amendments are traveling, so please explain the bill.
Okay, thank you, committee. This particular one is an attempt to address our teacher shortage, especially in our rural communities, at our at-risk and distressed counties. We passed a 5-year pilot program last year called a Tennessee Future Teacher Scholarship, where those that want to become teachers the junior and senior year through this grant program, their scholarship would be paid for. We've had one participant so far, and I believe that'd be a good thing. They also had to teach in these distressed counties or at-risk counties for 4 or 5 years. And what this includes WGU, which is an online teacher training course, which they are focused on the rural communities that they can take part in this scholarship program now.
I see no questions, so we are voting without objection on House Bill 2180. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2180 moves on to calendar and rules. Next up, we also have Chairman White with House Bill 2559. Do I have a motion? I have a motion and a second. Chairman White, you're recognized.
Yes, committee. This particular bill deals with Excel Center, which is a a school in Memphis which takes adults who do not have a high school diploma that had to drop out for one reason or other, to help them get back and get their high school diploma, to help them get into the workforce, to take advantage of Tennessee Reconnect and other things. We've been working this for a number of years. The Excel Center wants to expand and build new schools. The problem is they were contracted on the Memphis Shelby County School, LEA, and a contract school cannot draw down TISA funds the first year of operation. This changes that and makes it just like a charter school where you can start drawing down TISA funds in your first year of operation to pay teachers so they can get started. And with that, I renew my motion.
Question has been called. I see no objection. We are voting on House Bill. We're voting on House Bill 2559. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2559 goes to calendar and rules. Continuing with our Mark White calendar, we are on House Bill 2678. We have a motion and a second. And we do have an amendment that we do need to attach, and that is 018504, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay, let's back up. First, we need to attach Amendment 018178. We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we are voting on Amendment 018178. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. We have a second amendment, and that amendment is 018504.
Correct.
We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we are voting on Amendment 018504. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill is now amended twice. So please, Chairman White, explain your bill as we have amended it.
Yes, Chair Lady and committee, what we're doing here in 2678, we're taking the highest performing school district in the state, the University of Memphis campus schools, and we're enabling them to expand their model. It's called they've been around since 1912 for 112 years, and currently they have the highest. When I spoke to them 3 years ago, we got this idea: 87% reading proficiency, the highest in the state. I said, "Can you duplicate that?" And so we've been working on that. And so this bill creates the University of Memphis campus school called the Innovative School District to be their own LEA, where they can expand that model within our county. Moving forward to help the young people in a system that there's 100,000 students in our public school system in Memphis, and we want to help as many kids as we can. So this is the purpose of the bill.
Questions to the sponsor? Seeing none, and I have heard the question called, so without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2678. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. The ayes have it. House Bill, I didn't give the noes a chance. Are there any noes? If you'd like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk, but the ayes still have it, and House Bill 2678 goes to calendar and rules. Thank you, Chairman White.
Thank you, committee.
Next up is House Bill 1895 by Chairman Zachary, and we have an amendment on this bill, I believe. Well, we have two amendments.
Yes, ma'am. Drafting
first
code
one-
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes, the first one is drafting code 017545. Is that what you have?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion. We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we are voting on Amendment 017545. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached.
Okay, and the next amendment that we need to address is Amendment 018376 by Chair Lady Hazelwood. We've got a motion and a second. Chair Lady Hazelwood, you're recognized on the amendment.
It's simply a clarifying amendment.
Question on the amendment. Question's been called. Without objection, we are voting to put the amendment on the bill. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Amendment goes on the bill.
Chairman Zachary, you're recognized on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this protects parental rights by prohibiting an adult who is not a parent or guardian of a minor from facilitating an abortion for that minor. Be glad to answer any questions.
Second.
Question has been called. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 1895 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If you'd like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk, but House Bill 1895 does move on to calendar and rules. Next is House Bill 1812 by Representative Alexander. Representative Alexander, you're recognized. We have a motion and a second, and you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady, and thank you, committee. What this bill does, it just requires local education agencies and public charter schools to provide all employees their full salary and average pay or full benefits if they are absent due to being personally injured by an assault at school.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. I see no questions. So without objection, we're voting on House Bill 1812. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1812 goes to calendar and rules. Next up, Representative Alexander, you have House Bill 2173. Do you have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Representative Alexander, you're recognized.
All this does is this bill changes a fund that we had, a pre-need fund, to be administrative fund for pre-needs, and it changes the amount that we are collecting from $20 to $10.
Representative Alexander, we got a little bit ahead of ourselves because there is one amendment that was traveling with this bill, but there's another one that we need to adopt, and that is Amendment 014461.
014461, and we put it on in sub. Does that mean it doesn't travel with it, or do we put it on again?
It
I'm
has to
sorry.
be attached here.
I've only been here 4 years. I haven't caught the rules yet.
It's late in the day.
Oh, no, sorry.
Without objection, we are voting on Amendment 014461. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. And Representative Alexander, I believe you were explaining the bill as amended.
Yes.
I see no questions. So without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2173. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2173 goes to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 2031 by Representative Barrett. We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Representative Barrett, you are recognized.
Madam Chair, there is an amendment. Just want to make sure it's traveling.
It is not traveling. We need to attach Amendment 018450. We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we will be voting on Amendment 018450. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. So Representative Barrett, please explain your bill as we have just amended it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The original bill as drafted created, it not only created a private right of action for any intentional obstruction of a highway, street, or other passageway, but also elevated the criminal offense from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class D felony. The amendment simply removes the criminal portion and leaves the private right of action.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. I see no questions. So without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2031 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2031 goes to calendar and rules. Next up is item number 62 on the calendar from sub. That is House Bill 1908 by Representative Balzo. We have a motion and a second. And the amendment is from House Education Administration, and it's traveling, so we are in a proper posture. Please explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, members of the committee. This is a bill that initiates a pilot program to place therapy dogs in 5 public schools across the state, at least one of which will have to be in each Grand Division, because joy, happiness, and laughter is important to a classroom. We ask respectfully that you pass it. Thank you.
Question has been called. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 1908. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1908 moves on to calendar and rules, and don't let anybody call that a dog bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee.
We're next is House Bill 1912. Also, Representative Bullzone, you're up again with, oh, I'm sorry, you are not. Just joking. We are on House Bill 1807 by Representative Butler. Representative Butler, we have a motion. Did I hear a motion? A motion and a second. Representative Butler, you are recognized, and we do have an amendment that we need to attach. I'm showing that to be 018315.
Yes, Madam Chairman.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment, so without objection, we will vote on that and then address your bill as amended. So we are voting on Amendment 018315. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. So now, Representative Butler, please explain your bill as it currently stands.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This simply requires all departments in Tennessee inspecting new or renovated construction to do so within 10 days of the request.
Are there questions of the sponsor? Question has been called, so without objection, we are voting on House Bill 1807 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1807 goes to calendar and rules. Representative Butler, you have our next bill as well. That is House Bill 1805. We have a motion and a second. And I believe we have an amendment that we need to put on this bill. The amendment number is 017871. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Motion. I have a motion and a second. We are voting on Amendment 017871. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. Representative Butler, please explain your bill.
This legislation is named the Ethan Wade Walls Act in honor of the individual that I ran this legislation for, to provide a prorated refund on commercial tags for trucking companies with less than 3 trucks. With that, I stand for questions or renew my motion.
Question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 1805 with the amendment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to calendar and rules. Representative Butler, this is the Butler calendar we're on, and that is, we are now on House Bill 1924. We have a motion and a second. And I believe there are no amendments, so please describe your bill.
This House Bill 1924 provides some accountability for incarcerated inmates that have continually been convicted of indecent exposure in the prison. Once they've gone through due process through the court system, this will extend their sentence by 2 weeks. With that, I renew my motion.
Question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 1924. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1924 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, committee.
That does complete our Butler calendar, and we move on to item 73 by Chairman Eldridge. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Eldridge, you are recognized. So we have no amendments that aren't traveling with it, so you are in proper posture.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. And what this bill does is simply ask to raise the cap on Greenbelt properties from 1,500 acres to 3,000 acres.
Leader Lambert.
Move previous question.
Leader Lambert, let's move the previous question. I see no objection. So we are voting on House Bill 2054. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Please let the clerk know if you'd like to be recorded as a no, but House Bill 2054 does move on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Next up is House Bill 2405 by Representative Freeman. We have a motion and a second. Representative Freeman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. This bill creates a social work licensure compact commission, and with that, I stand ready to answer your questions.
I see no questions. So without objection, we're voting on House Bill 2405. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Chair and
House
Committee.
Bill 2405 goes to calendar and rules. No, I'd just rather keep going. All right, next up is House Bill 1727 by Representative Gant. We have a motion? Second. We have a motion and a second. Representative Gant, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This permits the prosecution of a parent or guardian who allows their minor child under the age of 18 to be cared for by a registered sex offender or to be unaccompanied minor in the home of a sex offender. The offense will be Class A misdemeanor and requires the parent or legal guardian to act knowingly.
Heard the explanation. Do I see any questions? I see none, hear none. We are voting on House Bill 1727. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. House Bill 1727 goes to calendar and rules. Representative Gant, you're up with the next bill as well. That would be House Bill 2845. You do have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the Tennessee Prevention of Drunk Driving Act, and I think everybody's pretty familiar with it by now.
The question has been called. I hear and see no objections, so we are voting on House Bill 2845. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2845 goes to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 1718 by Representative Gillespie. Representative Gillespie, you have a motion and a second, and you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. What this bill does is it would require a defendant that is subject to a bond to basically have pretrial monitoring to ensure compliance on their conditions that the court orders. And if they break those conditions, then they would be forfeiting the bond and released back into custody. This would only apply to counties that already have pretrial monitoring services.
The question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 1718. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and House Bill 1718 goes to calendar and rules. You have the next bill as well, Representative Gillespie. That is House Bill 2814. We have a motion and a second. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. What this bill does is it raises the penalty for the offense of drag racing from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class E felony.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation. I see no questions. I hear no questions. So without objection, we're voting on House Bill 2814. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. House Bill 2814 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you so much.
Next on our agenda is number 87, House Bill 2959. We have a motion and a second, and this bill is being carried by Chairman Whitson. Chairman Whitson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. As introduced, this bill creates a committee to study the establishment of incarcerated parenting plans to facilitate the ongoing relationship between incarcerated parents and their children within the state. With that, I renew my motion.
I see no questions of the sponsor. So without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2959. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2959 goes to calendar and rules. Next is item number 90. by Representative Lynn. We have a motion and a second. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This bill will put a little muscle in the Sunshine Act, and it will allow a judge discretion to award court costs and attorney's fees if the judge chooses to a plaintiff who wins their case.
You've heard the explanation. I see no questions. I hear no questions. So without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2176. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2176 goes to calendar and rules. Next is item number 92. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Martin, you're recognized.
Thank you, committee. This is the Tennessee Medical Laboratory Act, and it's doing three different things: strengthening our rural health care by defining what a rural-based hospital lab is, ensuring that our hospitals meet national qualified benchmarks, and finally allowing supervisors to supervise up to 5 rural hospital labs at one time. With that, I stand ready for question.
You've heard the sponsor's explanation, and I'm getting grief, Representative Martin, for addressing you improperly. I apologize for that. So without objection, we're voting on House Bill 2545. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and House Bill 2545 by Representative Martin moves on to calendar and rules. Representative Martin has our next bill as well, House Bill 1826. We have a motion and a second. The amendments that are on it are traveling with it, so you are in the proper posture to explain your bill.
Thank you, madam. This makes possible the use of rapid whole genome sequencing for chronically ill children in our NICU and PICU. And this typically is used in the first year of life for the kid to get definitive diagnosis for the child.
Question has been called. I see no objections, so we are voting on House Bill 1826. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1826 goes on to
Thank you,
calendar and
Madam
rules.
Chair.
Next up, we have House Bill 2145 by the other Representative Martin. Representative Martin, you are recognized. Do I have a motion and a second?
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second, and you are recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman and
Representative
committee. This bill would make the manufacturing and the selling of a license plate flipping device a Class A misdemeanor and would make the purchasing and possession of one of these devices a Class B misdemeanor. Thank you for your consideration.
Question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2145. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? House Bill 2145 goes to calendar and rules. Thank you. Next up is item 100 by Representative Parkinson. That's House Bill 2781. Do I hear a motion? Motion and a second. So you are recognized, Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Chair Lady Hazelwood and committee. This is the Cosmetology Licensure Compact Act, and it was brought by the Council of State Governments. The compact creates a multi-state license for cosmetologists to make it easier.
The question has been called. Some people didn't hear the question being called because they were too loud, but now they know the question has been called, and we are voting without objection on House Bill 2781. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2781 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chair Lady and committee.
Next up is item number 105 by Representative Sparks. We have a motion and a second. Representative Sparks, you're recognized.
Thank you. This is a simple bill. It just creates a street racing task force to study and determine best practices for curbing illegal street racing.
Question has been called. Seeing no objection. Seeing no objection, we are voting on House Bill 2062. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2062 goes to calendar and rules. House Bill 2743, that's item 106, is next. And Representative Stevens, you have a motion and a second, and you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This bill seeks to ensure that military families can receive the benefit of in-state tuition should a reassignment result in a temporary family separation.
Good bill, Representative Stevens. Without objection, we'll be voting on House Bill 2743. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and House Bill 2743 goes on to calendar and rules. 109, House Bill 1980 by Representative Wright. Representative Wright, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's House Bill 1980. Applies only to a state licensed retirement home known as Shenandoah, Knox County, City of Knoxville, a 501c3 nonprofit. Recently rebuilt the retirement home. Following the new construction, the retirement home was put on the property tax rolls. Previously been exempt from property tax. They inadvertently missed the deadline in 22 to apply for.
House Bill 1980 moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and especially the committee.
Next up is House Bill 2820 by Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Committee.
We
What
have a
this-
motion and a second, and you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Committee. What this bill would do is bring parity for public defenders and district attorneys for Shelby, Davidson County with all the other 95 counties.
Question has been called. I'm sorry, Leader Camper, we're getting well ahead of ourselves here because there is an amendment, and it does rewrite the bill.
It
So we
did.
really need to get that on here. The amendment is 017996.
And
I have
that's
a
what the-
motion and a second.
Yeah.
And without objection, we're voting on the amendment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is attached. You heard the sponsor's explanation. That was on the bill as amended. The question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2820 as amended. All in favor, please signify by
No.
saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank
House
you,
Bill
Ms.
2820 goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Committee.
Next up is House Bill 2538, which is item 116 on the calendar, and that is by Leader Cochran. Oh, I'm sorry. Not 116, 118. Just keeping people on their toes. We are actually on the phase-in calendar, and that is item 118, House Bill 1862. We
Question
have a
on the bill.
motion and a second. We had a question, but we did have an objection, so Chairman Faison, would you please explain your bill?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. This is the Physician Assistant Compact Bill.
Question has been called. I see no objection this time, so we are voting on House Bill 1862. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 1862 moves on to calendar and rules. Next is 119, House Bill 1863, also by Chairman Faison.
Thank you, Madam Chair Committee. This is a dietitian compact bill.
Did I have a motion and a second? We have a motion and a second. You're recognized. You're recognized.
This is a dietitian compact bill.
Question has been called. Without objection, we are
This is a
voting on
dietitian
House Bill
compact bill.
1863. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Bill moves to calendar and rules. Item 120 is House Bill 2120 by Chairman Faison. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Faison, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair Committee. This is just tighten up the bill in eminent domain.
Question has been called. I have no objection, calling of the question, so we are voting on House Bill 2120. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? House Bill 2120 goes to calendar and rules. Next up is House Bill 2732 by Chairman Faison as well. We have a motion and a second. Chairman Faison, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is for the TWRA.
Question has been called. I see no objection, so we are voting on House Bill 2732. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank
House
you,
Bill
Committee.
2732 goes to calendar and rules.
Item number 122 on the calendar is House Bill 2321 by Chair Lady Hazelwood. Chair Lady Hazelwood, you've got a motion and a second. You're recognized on the bill. Question's been called. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 2321. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes to calendar and rules.
Thank you.
Next item on your agenda is item number 124, House Bill 2323, also by Chair Lady Hazelwood. You've got a motion and a second. We do have an amendment on this one. It's Amendment 018514. Okay, we got a motion and a second on the amendment. Question's been called on the amendment. So we're voting to put the amendment on the bill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Amendment goes on the bill. Chair Lady Hazelwood, you're recognized on the bill. Question's been called. So we're voting to send House Bill 2323 to calendar and rules. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bill goes on to calendar and rules. Next item on your agenda is House Bill 120, it is House Bill 1614 by Chair Lady Hazelwood. You've got a motion and a second. Chair Lady Hazelwood, you're recognized on the bill. Question's been called. Without objection, we're voting to send the bill to calendar and rules. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bill goes on to calendar and rules. Item number 126 on the agenda is House Bill 2325 by Chair Lady Hazelwood. You've got a motion and a second.
We do have an
We
amendment.
do have an amendment. It's Amendment 017389. We've got motion and a second on the amendment. Question's been called, so we're voting to put the amendment on the bill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The amendment goes on the bill. Chair Lady Hazelwood, you're recognized on the bill. Question's been called. We're voting to send the bill to calendar and rules. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bill goes to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman Baum, for navigating through that. Good job. Next up is House Bill 2940 by Hicks of Washington. We have a motion and a second. You are recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Teen Care for Working Individuals with Disabilities Act.
The question has been called. Without objection, we are voting on House Bill 2940. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 2940 goes to calendar and rules. Next item on the calendar is House Bill 1659. That's item 130, House Bill 1659 by Chairman Hicks of Hawkins. Chairman Hicks, you are recognized. The question has been called. I see no objection to the calling. Oh, I'm sorry. Leader Lambert.
Hey, Madam Chairman, we're moving pretty quick here toward the end, and I appreciate that. I know we've got calendar rules next, but I did want to say on behalf of the entire committee, for Chairman Hicks, Chairman Hazelwood, both, y'all have done a phenomenal job on this committee. We say that a lot of times, but seriously, we've been here since 9 a.m. and you guys are still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for the most part and working hard. And look, it's just impressive to see y'all's work. Well done.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to, since you brought it up, to thank this committee for a lot of hard work, a lot of hours and time, some budget hearings and this very long day that particularly members who have been in sub and full have been here, and you've been diligent in your attendance. So I do appreciate that. It's been an honor to chair this committee. I appreciate the speaker's trust in letting me do that. I appreciate that you all have worked so well with me to make this committee do our job. And I feel that we have done that. And I hope that you can all walk away from here proudly saying, you know, we did what we were supposed to do in finance. We have kept the state on an even keel. We have been conservative in our fiscal management. And that is all due to the work of this committee. So thank you so much for allowing me to be up here. Thank you. Chairman Hicks, you have a motion and a second and all sorts of accolades, and the question has been called. Unless you have a burning need to say something, we will move on with the vote. So we are voting on House Bill 1659. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and House Bill 1659 goes to calendar and rules. And if you will all just bear with us for a minute, we've moved pretty quickly. We want to take a second to go back and make sure that we haven't made any mistakes that require corrections. And we do have an announcement from Chairman Zachary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, calendar and rules will begin at 6:10. 6:10. Thank you.
Committee, thank you again for all the hard work all year, but particularly this has been a tough, long day. Thank you for your attention and presence, and we stand in recess.